Hey guys, how y'all doing? BionicleSaurus here, and in this video we are going to be taking a look at the Papo Polacanthus. This model overall looks decent. The colors are a definite highlight, with the entire toy being a pleasing shade of purple, with a tan underside and gray on the beak and osteoderms along the back and tail. The detail is also absurdly well done. We got individual scales, scoots, spikes, osteoderms, everything. The eyes and other tiny facial features all look crisp as can be. There's even a bit of discernible mouth interior sculpting, which, considering the size of this figure and the size of its tiny little head, that's pretty remarkable. Detail is paramount for any ankylosaurid figure, seeing as how they have such complex physical features, specifically with their armament, and it does not fall short here. The figure is painted in a matte finish, with the only gloss being on the eyes, making them pop. This is, in my opinion, a far better way of doing things than what Papo does with a lot of their other figures, or at least have been doing recently, where they make the whole thing glossy. Putting a clear glossy coat across an entire figure is just not a good idea. It's not realistic, and it's just not attractive. It actually masks the detail, doesn't make it pop at all. It's just distracting, especially with bright lights shining onto a figure. It actually causes glare. Papo, if you're somehow hearing this, go with this style. Use a flat, matte finish. Don't make your whole figures glossy. Do what you did with this figure here. This is better. So everything we've mentioned so far on this particular figure is pretty positive, but trust me, there is a whole host of things wrong with this model as well. The pose is the first gripe that I want to bring up. This figure is in a simple walking pose, but it's just not fluid at all. There's something very awkward about how all the limbs are postured and where the feet line up on the ground. The left hind leg is stretched way far back, indicating fast or extreme movement, but both forelimbs hardly even look as though they're mid-stride. It makes for a figure that just doesn't look like it's moving in a way that any animal actually moves. The whole figure is also pushing its front half of its body upwards, causing the tail to slope down towards the ground below. This is not an accurate or visually pleasing posture, unfortunately. This figure also does a rather poor job at properly reconstructing the genus of Polacanthus. The anatomy is riddled with flaws. The spikes along the back are shaped like thin knives. In reality, these should be far thicker, far blunter structures, and the spikes along the tail specifically are just too long. Some of the specific structural orientations and patterns of the armament and osteoderms along the back also don't quite line up with the actual patterns of armament seen on the animal. Probably the worst offender as far as accuracy issues is concerned, though, is the head. This skull just doesn't look like a notosaurid skull, or a Polacanthus skull specifically. The hornlets on the cheeks and just behind the eyes are too large and awkwardly placed. A lot of reconstructions I've seen recently that are currently considered valid and accurate don't even have these. There's also this really weird, collar or crown of tiny spikes along the back of the head. I have no clue where they got the idea to do that. The head is also sculpted with this very defined helmet of purple scales. I have never seen an accurate reconstruction of a Polacanthus or any of its close taxonomic relatives with this kind of structure around the skull. The head, all in all, just kind of needs to be smaller, longer, less broad from a ventral view for sure. Its overall shape and expression just don't represent a notosaurid skull shape all that well, to be honest. Also, the tail was far too rigid in life to bend like it's bending here, and there's also no cloaca. Pretty much everything else is basically hitting the nail on the head. The anatomy in all the other places looks pretty good. Although, if you searched, you could probably find a lot more anatomical issues than the ones I've already mentioned here, and it's nice to see some things done right, such as the feet being accurately concave and not just elephantine pillars. All in all, out of the 5 possible ratings a figure can get here on the BionicleSaurus channel, this figure is getting The choice is yours. The middle rating, a solid 3 out of 5. It's up to you whether or not you want to get this extremely okay model. I personally like having a little strangely cute purple ankylosaurid in my collection, but I do not have the heart to actually recommend this, nor do I feel the need to actively discourage you from getting it either. Thank you for watching, and BionicleSaurus signing out.